Okay, hello. Uh, this is the new look at Paroli, the Paroli betting system. This was the second series I ran, and the first series where I used a full six deck shoe for each round. Um, let's see. So this is I was able to do this a lot more quickly because I used the basic structure that I had from the Martingale. I didn't. I did make a lot of changes. I tried to optimize and make things look a little bit better. So I think you'll see that. But the basic fundamentals are the same. So go back and watch the Martingale one where I really explain things, and I will do some explanation as I go through on this. Okay. So let me just first note and that how the Paroli system, what it is and how it works, and the way that we used it. So the Paroli system is a positive progressive system. It's really almost the inverse of Martingale. When you win, you double your wager, instead of in Martingale where you lose, you double your wager. So in Paroli, you win, you double your wager. And the way that we did it was for three consecutive wins. And after three consecutive wins, then you reset back to a single unit. And you have to put that on there. Otherwise, eventually you're going to lose. If you just keep pressing your bet, you're going to always lose. Got it? So you have to find a cutoff point. It seems the most common cutoff point for Paroli was three wins. So you need three consecutive wins and then you reset. Then if you start, you go back to a fourth win, then you start increasing your wager again. So you go from 1 unit, you win, 2 units, you win, and then you press that up to 4 units. And if you win that, then you go back to 1 unit. So you'll never go higher than 4 units. And that is one of the changes that I made when I ran this. Was when I ran the test originally, I wasn't sure what to do when you had multiple wins from splits and double downs. You win two or win three situations, or blackjacks. And the way that I had originally run it was I would press the entire thing. So you have one wager out or 1 unit out, and you win, or let's say you get blackjack, so you get time and a half. So now you have 2.5 units. You would press that whole thing. The next wager would be 2.5 units. Or if you, let's say you won, and then you went up to 2 units, and then you had a double down or a split or whatever, and you won two or won twice, so that you actually won. You had your original two plus the two you say double down with, and then you win. So that's 4 more units. So that's a total of 8. So we were pressing that up, and so that could even have happened again. And I decided that as I reworked it, that I was not going to do that. I was going to treat the extra payouts from blackjacks or multiple wins as strictly as a bonus, and stay only to the 1 to 4 unit betting structure. It seemed to make more sense. So that will change our results a little bit from the original series, but it's consistent throughout this reanalysis. Okay, so I just want to get that out there, that I had a change of heart on how I wanted to do that, and I think that makes more sense. I think that the only way that you can really be profitable in blackjack is to make the most of those bonus payouts, being blackjacks and multiple wins. That's my opinion on that I think that's what levels the playing field a bit. And you can kind of see that when you look at the how the flatbedder performs, and then on the win loss column chart, that the places that that the flatbedder, I mean, it'll often be you lose more hands than you win, but you get it back, or at least some of it, or an opportunity to get it back from blackjacks and multiple wins. Okay, so anyways, let's start getting into it. Like I said, this was a 3-win threshold. Okay, so shoe number 1. Here's the data. I tried to narrow the columns, and then I think that was going to make it too long, so it's going to feed over to the other side. I don't think that's too hard for anybody to follow along with. Let's see. I tried to neaten up the little data charts here about showing the number of wins, losses, blackjacks, etc., as well as the little table that shows the final result. And here being Paroli was up 12.5 and the flatbedder was up 3.5. Okay, moving on to the line chart. I tried to normalize things a little bit. I made the streak the gray color here, and changed some of the colors. But otherwise, it's basically the same. I also I figured out how to put in these markers, the 10, 20, 30, 40, showing you which hand you're on, so you can get a better sense of where you are in the shoe. Okay. What you're seeing here is if you follow the streak, is you have right off the beginning you have an uptrend or a winning streak, and so you have the blue line, which is the Paroli system, accelerating at a higher rate than the red line, which is the flatbedder. Let's see that there, where it jumps hand 15 thereabouts, where it goes from 11 and jumps up to 15. That was your second consecutive win, and it was a win 2. So you had gone from 10 to 11 on a win 1. So now your wagers, you press it, now your wagers 2, then you had a double down that you won and jump up to 15. But then you did not increase the wager, press that whole thing, that whole winning, 4 plus 4, to 8. And if you had, then obviously you would have gone higher, but you also would have put the whole thing at risk had you lost, and you would have dropped back down to like whatever, 7, 11, 7, something like that. Instead, you only won 4 up to that 19 right there. So, you're still winning, you're still increasing your wager, you're not pressing the whole thing. And that was what I was talking about. That was a change from how I did it in the original run of this. And that's what's nice about this whole spreadsheet thing is I can make those changes to the rules. The only thing that really matters is what the results were from the cards. And I like to, we're using the real cards from a real shoe. So that's what's going on there. And then you can see we went on a bit of a choppy streak. That seems to be problematic for just about any positive progressive system, where you are increasing your wager and then you're not getting a winning streak, and so you're coming down. You can see that blue line is coming down a little bit faster than the red line. But then you get on a little winning streak again, and you're popping back up, and then you're kind of trailing off again. But then the flatbedder's kind of trailing off too. Just things. I'm going to try to keep it quick. I just want to talk about some of these concepts as they appear on the lines. And I think it was Tor who mentioned who thought that the lines and the candlesticks were both very helpful to see how the betting systems actually perform. So I hope that that you like it and find it useful. I'm finding it useful. Of course, I get to really look at it as I put it together and make sure it all that all of my formulas work. All right, anyways, here's the column chart for the first shoe. I figured out how to make the columns different colors so that we can more readily see, which are wins, which are losses. Obviously, red and green. I'd use the golden color for blackjack and that gray for the push, and deeper shades of red and green, as if it's a larger or smaller win. So you can kind of see that. Lose 1, lose 2, lose 3. Goes from a lighter shade of red to a darker shade. Okay. And here's the final chart for the first shoe, showing Paroli up 12.5 and the flat better up 3.5. So it was an okay shoe, and Paroli did pretty well with it. Okay. Let's see. Shoe number 2. Here's your data. Same thing. Same idea as before. That's the other thing I should have mentioned before. For that first martingale series where I was using single and double decks, I was only running up to 30 hands. Now we're running up to where we hit a cut card in the 6-deck shoe. So there's a bit of things will vary. On the first shoe, we had 45 hands. On the second shoe, we have 46. We're getting up to, I think we get up to 48, maybe 49. I think even at times you got up to 50 in other series. And that was when I was, kind of manually putting the cut in. The most recent series that I've run, I counted back 78 cards, exactly a deck and a half from the back of the shoe. And it started getting us only maybe 43 hands, which is fine. I just was trying to bring in more consistency. I could get a little loose on where I was putting that cut card in. So just trying to make sure that we're really only running the same number of cards. Okay, so here's the line chart. Again, you see, with the blue line of Paroli dropping way down, this is because you are getting in this choppy action that you can see on the gray streak line, and that you're never getting your third consecutive win. When you don't get that third win, you're not going to make your money. But then all of a sudden you do see we get the third win a little bit after the 20 there, and we're going to pop up. Well, we go on a little winning streak from the low of -8, and we pop up, and then I guess we take a loss, and then we go on another streak, and you can tell. Let's see, that would be around 25. Yeah, on hand 24, we got a win 2, which is really what starts to boost us up there. Again, if you had pressed that, you would have seen that blue line go even higher. But again, like I said, we were trying to be a little more conservative, because there are definitely times when, if you look at back on the data at hand 31, doesn't show up quite so much here on the blue line chart, but you had hand 31, it was a win 2, and then the next hand was a lose. So you really just, after those 2 hands, you came out at even, rather than being down. If you had 1 and then you being down a unit, I guess, or 2. So, you're managing your chip stack a little bit better. Okay, so here's the column chart. And this is what I was talking about. You can see you have more losses than wins, but you have some blackjacks and more win 2s than lose 2s, which, at least for the flat better, put them up at a +4. But as you can see on the final chart, that choppy back and forth action did not help the Paroli better. It just kind of it ate away at the chips too much, because if you go win lose, right? If you're playing when you're the flat better, you win 1, you lose 1, you're at 0. Okay, when you are playing as Paroli and you win lose, you win 1, and then you press, and then you lose 2, and so you're down 1. So that starts to eat away. One more mention. There was a 47th hand dealt, but I discarded it for the purposes here. That hand actually came after the cut. I finished hand 46. The next card to come out was the cut card, and I had been running those hands, and I decided later on in later series, somebody had mentioned not to do that because casinos don't do that. And so that's what we're doing now as we go through the reanalysis. If there's hands that came out, or a hand, shouldn't really be more than one, that comes after the cut, we're going to cut that hand out. So it was a win, but like I said, we're not using it. All right, moving on. Number 3, here's your data. And don't need to leave it too long. Here's your line chart. You got Paroli taking off, staying ahead, taking off again, declining at an even rate, and then taking off again because you got some good streaks in here. And you really never got your streak any higher. Well, you got it up to 4 once and 3 a few times. The 4 is happening in the middle there, or actually no, in early. At hand 14. The other ones are just 3. So you can see how it's working, or how it can work. Meanwhile, the flat better wasn't able, and this is obviously the way flat betting is going to go, is it's not able to overcome the disparity, as you can see in the column chart here. Significantly more losses than wins. Okay, for Paroli, just was the timing of when those wins came, and that they came in streaks. Okay, and you had a couple of win 2s, but you had to lose 3. Okay, and only 1 blackjack. So as you can see in the final chart, Paroli up 8, flat better down 7.5. Shoe number 4. Here's your data. And interestingly, they came out both at a -6. Here's your line chart. It was, again, a bit of a struggle. You did reach the 3 wins in a row a couple of times, which brought Paroli back up, closer to the flat better, but not quite enough. What's kind of interesting, where are we here? Hand 13, okay? Hand 12 was a win, so that's taking you from -8 to -7. And then you had a win 3 when your base wager was 2 units, and that's what popped you up right here, okay? Then your next wager, so you won 6 on that one. Okay, so instead of pressing the whole thing to become a wager of 12, you only put out 4, and then you lost it. See, that would have put you way down, but instead it only dropped you down here to -5. So again, I think that's a benefit of treating those extra payments as bonuses. Here's the column chart. Again, more losses than wins, despite the fact that you had this win 3. Okay, and then here's the pretty simple final chart, -6 and -6. Okay, number 5. Here's your data. And here's your line chart. As you can see, we never had a situation where you had 3 wins in a row. So despite working your way up a bit, even with a win 2 around hand 22 here, where it pops up and you get back to 0, because you kept you pressed at least the base wager on there, which you then lost on the next hand. And then you got this 9-hand losing streak. Before that, you had a 6-hand losing streak. And then you just didn't get a long winning streak again. You only got up a couple. You had, those are pushes in there where the streak stays the same, and then you dropped out again, and then you see that how the blue line drops out. Of course, the flat better did too, but not at quite the same rate. Okay. Here's the column chart. Again, you can see a lot more losses than wins, and the final chart showing Paroli minus 20, the flat better minus 14. And shoe 6. Here's the data. And here is the line chart. Again, got on a pretty long losing streak, again going minus 9. And, a couple times you got up to the threshold of three consecutive wins, in fact, 3 different times. And so that did help you get to a Paroli doing better than the flat better, but at a lot more risk, going down significantly farther. Here's the win-loss column chart. Again, as you can see, a lot more losses than wins. And here is the final showing Paroli up 3.5 and the flat better up 1. So, Paroli was able to pull it out. If it didn't get that third streak of 3 wins, it probably would not have made it back ahead. So, I don't know yet if that's what's required for Paroli to be successful, is to have at least 3 threshold winning streaks. All right. Shoe 7. See, we're going pretty quickly, I think. Here's your data. And here's your line chart showing us finishing very weakly with a very long losing streak. That's not too long. I mean, minus 7. It's pretty long. That is a cause for concern for martingale systems. But here your losses are tempered because you're not increasing as you lose, only as you win. But you need those wins. You need those streaks, which you just weren't getting. You got up a little, and then you got choppy, and then you started falling off. Even when you did get a win at hand 40, you didn't follow it up, and so you fell back out again. Here's your column chart. Again, it's a lot of losses. 23 over 10 wins. It's more than double. And your closing final chart for shoe number 7, showing Paroli at minus 15 and the flat better at minus 6.5. Okay, so that puts us on our summary pages. So the summary for Paroli is showing us this. Again, if you think of this in like stock market terms, you have the number of the shoe number, then the low point. I'm looking at the first one of minus 2 and that is for the whole series, and that's what you'll see as you go down to the other one. So you started at plus minus 0, you went as low as minus 2, you opened at 0. That might sound in the sentence a little bit out of order, but this is the way that the spreadsheet wants them. So you opened at 0, you went as low as minus 2. Okay, you went, again, I'm going to kind of go out of order as far as explaining it. You went as high as 22, but you closed at 12.5. Okay, so your gain loss was 12.5. That's pretty easy for the first one. Now, when you go to the second shoe, you carry over your closing price of 12.5 becomes your opening price for the next shoe. Okay, and then at one point you went as low as 4.5. In other words, you at one point lost 8, as many as 8. during that shoe. Okay, but you went as high as 20 and a half. Again, in other words, looking at your open, you went as high as a gain of 8. Okay, but you closed the shoe at 10 with a gain loss of, I guess not a gain loss, but just a loss of minus 2.5, which, if you close the day, you open the day at 12.5 and you lost 2.5, you close the day at 10. Okay, so again, that close carries over to the next open, 10 to 10, and that's how the rest of the data goes. You can just look at that. I'm not going to explain every line. Anyways, that data sets us up for this, the candlestick chart, which again, if you're used to the stock market, you should be familiar with these. These show the trading range, or the range of your chip stack through the day, and in stocks it's a trading range, of course. The solid rectangles are shoes where your stack increased. The hollow rectangles are ones where your stack decreased. The bottom of the solid rectangle is where you opened. The top is where you closed. The line shows the range. So at the bottom of the little line underneath the first shoe, that's the -2. That's your low point. And the top of the line is your high point of 22. Okay, and when you look at shoe 2, you have the hollow rectangle. The top of the hollow rectangle is where you opened. The bottom is where you closed. And then the same thing with the lines. The top of the line is your high point for that shoe, and the bottom of the line is the low point for that shoe. That's just part of the range that occurred during that shoe, but shows where you opened and closed. Okay, so we can see how Paroli performed. It did okay, but then it had a big losing day, or a big losing shoe on shoe number 5, and then again on shoe 7. Okay, so the losses outweighed the gains. All right, and then we have this same idea for the flatbedder. Here's the data table for the flatbedder. Works the same way, where the close carries over to the open. And here is the candlestick chart, showing somewhat similar motion, where it's going up and then falling down. Shoe 5 was a tough one for both. Okay, but then what's nice is to get them on the same scale and overlay one to the other, so that we can really see, did one take off, or did one sink? Did one lose a lot? And these are actually fairly similar to each other, which is then our final closing of Paroli -19.5, and the flatbedder -25.5. Okay, not too significantly different. I mean, yeah, Paroli did do better. We do see that, but I'm just was getting at was that they're both in a similar range. It's not like Paroli was in the black and the flatbedder was in the red. But still, one of the criteria for these tests is, well, you have to acknowledge that casino gambling is a losing proposition. But and if you consider that flatbedder playing perfect basic strategy represents the house edge, is there a way to do better than the house edge? And so what we're seeing here, at least on this very limited set of only 7 shoes, that Paroli did outperform. Okay, we also had Martingale outperform. Now it's going to take some time, but now that I have these set up, I can start to share the shoe results from all the different shoes and add them up. So instead of only looking at a series of 7 shoes, I can take these 7 shoes that we from this Paroli run, and I can apply the martingale to it, just as I can apply the Paroli functions to the results of the martingale shoes. Those will take time. What I'm trying to get through first is just the reanalysis of all the series that I've run. So that's where we are now. If you watch all of these shoes in the Paroli system, so one, I made the change of not pressing the bonus wins, which I already talked about. But I also question, the threshold of 3 wins is a bit arbitrary. And so what if you went, and you can do whatever you want. So what if you said, no, 3 is not enough. I'm going to go for 4. Or you decided, well, 3 is too many. I'm going to go for 2. Now you could say, well, 2 is too many. I'm only going to go for 1, but that doesn't make any sense. Then you're just flat betting. But so what if you wanted to go for 4 or only for 2? So thanks to technology, I was able to write or modify some formulas, and I can give us the results for if you only ran out for 2 wins. So you're in those situations, your wager is going to go. You're going to start with 1. If you win, you're going to bet 2, or you're going to press it to 2. And if you win, you're just going to take that. You're going to reset your wager down to 1. And if you lose, you just stay at 1. And so it's always going to, after being at 2, you're always going to go back to 1, either by winning or losing. Bet 1, win, press to 2, lose, go back to 1. Bet 1, win, press to 2, win, go back to 1. Okay, that's what's happening. Okay, I'm just going to very quickly show the data. Boom, there's the data, and then here's the line chart. Okay, I'm using this green color for the 2 wins, and no sense in showing the win-loss chart, column chart, because that's exactly the same. And then here is the final chart. So flat better, or the Paroli with a threshold of 2 wins, a gain of 7, and the flat betters shouldn't change to be 3.5. Just to remind you, Paroli had been up 12.5 on the 3-win threshold. Now it's only up by 7. So on this shoe, it did worse. Okay. And now what if you wanted to say go up to 4, to a win streak of 4 before you reset your wager? Well, that's what we have here. Very quickly, there's the data. If you really want to look at it, just pause and everything. Let's not waste time. And here's the line chart. And what you can definitely see is a lot more upward movement when you get to the long winning streaks. Okay. But if you don't get there, you'll see on some of the other shoes that it's damaging. But when you get them, it's good, and you can see that 14.5 for the 4-win threshold Paroli, or 3.5 for the flat. So that it's a gain of 2 over the 3-win. But as you'll see, there's a lot more risk. In fact, you can see on the line chart, just put that up really quick, how it was up to 20 and it dropped all the way back to, I think, 1. Okay, and then it got on a win streak again, so it got way back up again to 17. Okay, so here's all 4 betting approaches. Here's the data for the first shoe, whether you're using 2 wins, 3 wins, 4 wins threshold, or the flat better. So there's the data, and here's the line chart. This is where I had all the different colors set up, where the red will consistently now be the flat. At least in Paroli, green is the 2 win, blue is the 3 win, or the original series test, or and purple for the 4. I didn't include the numbers in this chart. If you really needed to see them, they're either in the data or they are on the other charts. It just got really messy. All these little numbers all over the place. I think this shows us well enough. And then here's a final chart for the first shoe, 2, 3, or 4 wins, or the flat bet. Okay. All right. So we can do that. So I did that for all of these. I am going to try to be expeditious. Here is the second shoe with 2 wins. There's the data and the line chart and the final chart of a gain of half a unit versus minus 2.5. So it actually did better. Minus 2.5 for when it was a threshold of 3, and 4 for the flat. And here we go with the 4 win threshold. Here's the data, and here's the line chart. You never got your threshold. You never reached 4 in a row. So you really, the times when you did go up to even or a little over was just in part of the winning streak before you lost it all. In fact, what you have at 26 right here, where it made this big drop down, was you were on your, you had 3 consecutive wins. You had your base wager up to 8, and you had and you had to lose 2, so you went down from 0 to minus 16, and that really hurt. And anyways, that puts you in the final for minus 23. And remember, you had been at minus 2.5, so did quite a bit worse there. And here is the comparison data for shoe 2 of the 2, 3, 4 win Parolis and flat betters. Here's the line chart. Again, using all of the colors and not putting the numbers in. And here is the final column chart for shoe 2. All right. Here's the 2 wins threshold for shoe 3. And here's the line chart for it. I'm just not going to talk through all of these. You can look at them and you can figure it out. You have all the information here. Just was trying to point some stuff out on the first ones. If there's anything in particular that's interesting, I'll mention it. Oh, and here is the final column chart. Here is shoe 3 with the 4 win threshold, the data, and the line chart, and the column chart. And here's the shoe 3 comparison data, and the shoe 3 comparison line chart, and the shoe 3 comparison final column chart. All right, shoe 4 on the 2 win threshold. Here's the data. Here's the line chart. Here's the column chart. I don't even have to mention, I'm not even going to mention what it had, because we will see that on the comparison. Here is the 4th shoe with the 4 win threshold data. Here's the 4th shoe with the 4 win threshold line chart, and the final column chart. And here's the 4th shoe comparison data, and the line chart, and the final column chart. You can kind of see what's happening here is that the 4-win threshold is underperforming because you're putting so much more at risk for so much longer. At least that's how it seems to me. And I think that even the 2-win threshold, you're not putting enough at risk. You're not increasing your wager enough. That's what I think is happening. All right, shoe 5, 2-win threshold data and the line chart, column chart. Shoe 5, 4-win threshold data and the line chart and column chart. And shoe 5 comparison data and the line chart. You can see the 4-win threshold, that purple line, falling off very quickly. And in the column chart, you really see it. All right, shoe 6, 2 wins, threshold, data, and line chart. Actually outperforming, as you can see on the column. Up. And shoe 6, 4-win threshold data. Shoe 6, 4-win threshold line chart. And shoe 6 comparison data and line chart, column chart. Interestingly, the 2 and 3 wins came out with the same gain of 3.5. And also both besting a gain of 1 for the flat better. Okay, shoe 7, 2-win threshold data. Shoe 7, 2-win threshold line chart. And column chart. Shoe 7, 4-win threshold data. Shoe 7, 4-win threshold line chart. Shoe 7, 4-win threshold column chart. And shoe 7 comparison data. Shoe 7 comparison line chart. So we actually have the 3-win, as you can see on the column chart, well underperforming. With that minus 15. I guess the reason for that is that the 4-win threshold got way up before it started losing. And the 2-win threshold didn't lose as quickly because it didn't require getting up to the 3-win threshold as often. So it could gain where the 3-win threshold could not. And then at the end, it got the long losing streak. Was that, the 7 losses in a row. So they all declined at the same rate. Right there, at least. Okay, and then, nothing would be complete if you didn't have, the open, close, low, high, gain, loss charts. So here's the 2 wins threshold data and the candlestick. You're already seen the 3-win. I'll just put it up here really quick in case you need to reference it. Data, candlestick. The 4 wins, data, and candlestick. A lot of hollow rectangles there. And you've seen this one already before too, but just for easier reference, the flat better data and candlestick. And then trying to put them all together the best I can here. Again, the colors are important where you have the red is the flat better, the green is the 2-win threshold, the blue is the 3-win threshold, and the purple is the 4-win threshold. So what this ends up showing us is that flat 2, 3, and 4 are all in the same pocket there, and whereas the 4-win threshold is really quite an outlier. You can see that here on the final column chart, comparing the final results. I mean, the 3 wins did the best, did better than the flat better. But, the 2 wins did only slightly worse than the flat better, and the 4 wins went way out. So, I don't think I need to do this anymore going forward. I think we had a reasonable variety of of shoes in this series that maybe there's a reason why the 3-win threshold is popular, or I want to come short of saying recommended for Paroli, in that with the 2-win threshold, you're just not increasing your wager enough to make money or to do better. And the 4 wins, you're putting too much out there for too long. And I think that is pretty definitive here. I guess on that first shoe, it outperformed. Well, it did on shoe 3, it did outperform the flat better, just by a little bit. Okay, shoe 7, it did better than the 3 wins. I don't know why the 3, I guess because it got a good winning streak. That's what kept it up above the 3 wins. Anyways, I hope you're finding this useful. Maybe it's a little dry, as one might expect just from looking at data and charts. But I think it's informative, and we have raw data already from running these shoes. So let's try to I'm trying to maximize that data before I just keep throwing out more cards all the time, which is fun. I like doing it. I want to get back to it, and I will, and testing new systems. But I think, like I said, this is giving us a deeper analysis of the series that are already run, as well as giving me the opportunity to test this across more hands and more shoes, because I can share the hand results from the different systems and apply the functions for the different betting systems. Okay. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this. Please give me a like and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Thanks. Bye.